Hello. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. Welcome to Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks.
Oh my God.
And rolls.
I
And one more
have.
thing,
Yes.
please chat with us. I'm
Yeah.
handling the chat, and Beth will talk to you directly. And now let's hear from Beth.
Yeah, if you come live when we're live, I can actually talk to you in person. Other than that, you come later, I can always answer you through the comment section. So tonight, I want to talk about a kind of a painful topic. Why are we shocked? Why are we shocked? Why is it that we act like we're surprised by what people do? You know, what did we expect and what do we expect? And this kind of thing comes up all the time. I mean, let's take I'm going to get to the Israel Hamas situation specifically, but we have a dog. I have a doggie. My little doggie, I love my doggie. I have never trained my doggie. My doggie was 5 years old when he came, and he didn't have any training, and I haven't trained him, and he isn't trained. Why am I surprised?
Why are you
Listen,
surprised?
why am I shocked?
Cause and effect,
It's,
right?
absolutely, you know. Or if you are abusive towards a child, that child will probably be kind of messed up. And then we're shocked. Oh, what's wrong with that child? We have.
We have a hi from Catalina. She sends a big heart of love. Thank you, Catalina.
Thank you, Catalina. So, this is not just about politics. This is about everything, the way men and women treat one another, nations, groups, all kinds of things, individuals. So, what makes this something came to mind about this is, you know, I have to ask the question. I am appalled by the bombing and the strangulation of Gaza, as many people are. However, I have to ask a question.
Yes, do.
When Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, what did they expect? We have another.
Yeah, what did the Israelis expect? Is that
No,
what you're saying? What did
no.
Hamas expect?
What did
Okay.
Hamas
And
expect?
then Elizabeth says hello and sends a big heart of love.
Hello,
and
thank you for being
another,
here.
happy
Thank you
face.
for being here. See what I'm saying? I mean, what did Hamas think? Oh, that the Israelis, who do not have armed forces, or and that and Netanyahu is not the typical male who has to prove how powerful he is. So they expected them to say, "Oh my, 1,400 dead. Oh well."
Oh, and then Tracy is here, and she says hello and sends a big
Hello.
heart of love.
Hello,
and caring.
hello,
Thank
hello.
you, Tracy.
So what did Hamas expect? Well, exactly what they got. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why did they do that knowing that Israel was going to be in a position where they were going to have to strike back for their own manhood, as we know, and also to protect their people? And
Whoops. Was that your unit?
right foot, please,
Okay, yeah, where is it?
on the floor.
Please hold on, we're having technical difficulties.
You're saying that. Yes. Well, my microphone fell out, and what did I expect? I expected that it wouldn't work, and it didn't.
And it didn't.
Okay, and we
And
have
Todd
another
says hi
comment.
and also sends a heart of love. And
Thank you. I
and,
need this
caring.
love
Thank
on
you,
this
thank you,
caring
thank you.
topic.
Lots
Okay.
of love.
Now you could say, well, Israel has been blockading. It happened again, but it didn't fall out this time. Israel has been blockading Gaza since 56 or 57?
67.
1967, I mean, since the Six-Day War.
Right.
Oh, okay. So, what did they expect? People are going to say, oh, we love those Israelis, right?
I don't think so.
What did they expect?
I think they're going to be pretty upset.
I think so. Now, let's talk about the 6-Day War for a minute. Nasser of Egypt controlled the Suez Canal, and they blockaded the Israelis from using the Suez Canal, which messed up their economy. And what did Nasser think? What did he expect? That the Israelis were just going to lie down and go, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's one thing after another. And you know, the tragedy of the whole thing is the Palestinians were thrown out of their land by the new Jewish state that was mandated by the Western powers, who were the colonists of the time, taking over after the Ottoman Empire fell apart after World War I. So after World War I, the Ottoman Empire, they were the bad guys, right? Because they were on the other side. And so then Britain and France, and they took over, and but they didn't know what to do with the Jews. Nobody knew what to do with the Jews. And then now you've got 8 million dead Jews, and it's called the Holocaust.
The Holocaust was 6 million.
Oh, 6 million. I don't know how many millions. I mean, because people died after the Holocaust, too. So you've got 6 million Jews dead, and they have no place to go because the European nations didn't want to take them. No, not before the war, not during the war, not after the war. They didn't want to take them. So what do you expect the Jews to do? Try to find a land of their own, right? And they went back to their ancestral homeland. I say they. I am Jewish. In my tradition, the family that I was born into, I was born at the end of the Holocaust. Our family was pretty much wiped out, and the other part of the family that lived in Romania instead of in the Ukraine. Some of them lived, and they were in displaced persons camps because nobody wanted them. And finally, they shipped them off to Israel. So what did you expect?
Yeah.
What did you expect?
They had no place else to go.
They had no place else to go. And this is what is so heartbreaking about this situation, is how many people are suffering. And yet, what can you expect when people behave unconsciously, with only self-interest in mind? And by the way, it's not like the British just gave Palestine to the Jews, even though they claimed they were going to. No, they didn't do that. They tried to stop the Jewish immigration. They tried to stop Jews from going into Palestine because they knew they were going to lose favor with the Arab nations, even though they had promised it. And the Jews fought back. So what could you expect? The only thing is they didn't expect that these poor, bedraggled people were going to be as powerful as they became. So it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy of, and what bothers me now, and I knew the minute that this war broke out, so I even said it to James, and I think I said it on one of these shows a few weeks ago, there's going to be more anti-Semitism. Because what do I expect? I know that anti-Semitism exists all throughout the world. So, whether it's the Spanish Inquisition or the British throwing out the Jews in the 13th century or, the Holocaust, this is what we have come to expect. Except that being born in the United States as I was, I actually wanted to believe that we wouldn't see anti-Semitism here. But the only thing that saves the Jews is that a lot of people hate the Muslims more. So, it's like, oh, do you hate the Jews more or do you hate the Muslims? So whose side are you going to be on? So it's really very sad. And people who take sides and don't see the suffering on both sides are blinding themselves and are kidding themselves and are not asking themselves what they would do. Now, if you take a child and you beat it every day, what do you think is going to happen to that child? What do you expect? Some of those children somehow rise above it and go on and do incredible things, but God knows what they're doing in their private lives, if they're drinking or they're using drugs or whatever. You know, there's another example of this which is so stark in my mind. We allow more dirty water, pollution, lead in the water in underprivileged communities in the U.S., meaning, you know, people of color, people with the little power, and then they don't do that well at school. Well, what do you expect? They've had brain damage, you know, or they're terrified because they've been socialized in environments where they're totally unsafe. You see, everybody needs a sense of safety to survive. And if we just recognize that we all have the same needs, then we have to ask ourselves, wouldn't it be better to solve our problems by making sure that everybody got their needs met instead of fighting it out? That's what I feel. That's what I believe anyway. So now what I'd like you to do right now is to think about something where you are shocked or surprised. And then you ask yourself, what did I expect? If I allowed myself to think about this, what would I have noticed? So I'm asking you to think now, and I'm going to play a little bit of music while you're thinking. And please write in the comments. Certainly, I'm not the only one who blinds myself. If I mistreat my husband, you know, he's going to resent it, no matter how much I rationalize my behavior. Because
ditto
what
for
do
the
I
other side
accept?
as well. On the husband's part.
If he's abusive to his wife.
Abusive or withdrawn, disconnected. It's not surprising that the wife might get a little upset.
That's right. And might try to find a way to fight back. You know, after the American Civil War, which was supposedly about slavery, what happened to the 16 acres and a mule?
40 acres. In
40 acres and a mule. My memory. 40 acres and a mule that all these slaves were supposed to be receiving, you know, so they could get on their feet. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. No. In fact, there were just new ways of oppressing black people. And gosh, they got angry. Do you remember that? My God. The Black Panthers and SNCC and all of that. And what could you expect?
I mean, all that discrimination and mistreatment.
Yeah.
What do
You know,
expect?
and then when white people who are already struggling are told that they're privileged, then they have to give up some of their privileges. White men like you, who like, how privileged do you feel, even though you are actually relatively?
Well, I kind of take it for granted, you know.
That's right. And you're not going to want to give it. What do you expect? Hey guys, come on, there's got to be some examples here that you're ready to admit to.
Talk to us.
Talk to us. If you're too lenient with your children, they're going to take advantage of you because that's what they've been trained to do. It's like my dog. What do you expect? Hey, Do we have any more comments? No comments.
No more comments.
Oh, looks like there may be one. No comments. I know you're listening. We'd love to hear from
There's
you.
a lot more people listening than
There are lots of people, but they're not saying anything. Well, so what can we do about this? Well, we could start by thinking.
Cause and effect.
Thinking. What is going to be the result of this? You know, I started thinking about the question. There was a song in the old days. I don't know if you remember the song, James, but it was about this one hates this one and this one hates this one. And at the end they say, and everybody hates the Jews.
Oh.
Oh, Todd wants...
Todd, please repeat the question.
The question is, what situation are you in that you're shocked, whether it's a political situation or a personal situation, you're shocked, and you are now maybe beginning to question, what did I expect? Like, I didn't ask my children to take any responsibility when they grow up, and gee, amazingly, they don't know how to do that. Or I didn't teach my daughter how to boil water, and she's now married and doesn't know how to boil water. That would have been me. That's the question, to look inside yourself and say, where are you stuck with something that is shocking or upsetting to you? And if you think about it, you say, what did I expect? Oh, right, you've rescued me, Tracy.
Tracy says, I am sometimes shocked by how polarized people are and how mean they can be with one another.
Okay, so... And why are you shocked? Think about that for just a second. What do you think, Tracy? Why should you be, what would you expect? People get their information from completely different sources.
Mm-hmm.
The Speaker of the House is a Republican who was one of the leaders of the campaign promoting the idea that Donald Trump had won the election. Now, you keep feeding that to people on that side, and they're only getting that information, and they're told that anybody who is questioning that is persecuting Lord Trump. And what do you expect? What do you think they're going to feel? They feel personally, and then on top of that, as I've mentioned many times on this show, there was a lot of personal attacks against Trump. And if you happen to be a supporter of his, then you're going to feel personally attacked by anybody who is attacking him. So that's a big aspect of it. Two different silos of information. The fact that each side was personally attacking the other side, looking down on them. You know, there is something about elitism which is true, and that makes people very angry. And so what do you expect? They're going to say, yeah, you know, this is the way it is. That they, you know, and you question everything that they do, and they feel more defensive. And what do you expect? They have poured their hearts out, their lives. They've given their fealty, their devotion to this man, and you know you're attacking him. So what do you expect? And it's the same way on the other side. You know, when people are you know, the anti-woke thing, it's unbelievable to me that people are called woke. That means that's enough to put them in the category. Well, but that's because many people are angry about the policies that they consider to be woke. There are people who actually oppose abortion, and then there are people who are very uncomfortable with the changes in the demographics where they feel like their power is being taken away. And they see kids having an easier time of it than they had. You know, there's a million reasons. You can think of many more things, but I'm saying to you, what are you thinking about now? How are you asking yourself, what kind of answers are you coming up with, either with that very one, Tracy, or something else that's even more personal in your lives? What can you take an example of something where you said, how could this happen? I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And ask yourself, what did you expect? And look at the history. That's all I did with Israel and Palestine. And that was a very, short version of the actual history. It's a terrible history. And it didn't even start with the Arabs and the Jews. It started with anti-Semitism in Europe. That was the biggest thing. And I was asking myself, for centuries, right? Often forgetting that Jesus Christ was Jewish. This was the thing that always made me surprised.
They called him King of the Jews.
King of the Jews. But, they're angry at Jews. So there's a reason for that. There's always a reason. There's a reason. People feel threatened for some reason that makes them behave this way. But this anti-Semitism in Europe, this long, long history, gave birth to a desperate people who had no place to go. And I'm not saying that the Arab nations are great, are perfect, or that their leadership is enlightened. I'm saying that in terms of the people, how can you not understand how they felt when somebody was imported? Like, supposing you were at home and you got a knock on the door and says, excuse me, you have to move out now. Because these other guys are more oppressed. We're going to take the homeless population of your town and we're going to move them into your house. Too bad. Right? So I asked myself today, why do so many people hate the Jews? Why is there so much anti-Semitism? And so I'm taking the attitude of, well, why should I be shocked? Well, what else would I expect? And I think about it, and the one thing that I did come up with is that Jewish people insisted upon keeping their identity. Now, a lot of them converted because they were forced to. And that force could have been, the Spanish Inquisition, or the force could have been, you can't get ahead in business, you can't keep your job if you don't convert. Okay, but Jewish people as a whole have managed to stay there in their own place, their own religion, their own belief system. Now, I see there's a comment from Shar, but let me finish this first. So I want to finish this thought. Now, what do I know about people? People cluster together for safety. So, we're the blues and they're the pinks. We're a team, 25th Street and you're a team 24th Street. People tend to look to one another for safety. The Jewish people were not them. Were not us. They were always them because they were different. And I think that may be one of the major sources that when it comes right down to it, people are always looking for their peer group or their race, or their family. People say, stick with your family. Family's the most important thing. Look at that. Starts with the family, and then maybe the neighborhood. If you're lucky, it's the town, or your high school. You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, Tracy, but go back.
Let's go back now. Todd says, I used to be shocked by my children's behavior, but I'm getting your point. I understand that I didn't endeavor to teach them things I thought they should know.
Exactly, Todd. Bravo. Courageous.
I echo with that too, Todd.
Yes, that's courageous to admit this. And then next.
And Tracy says, I see what you're saying as to why it's not a shock. I guess I also feel disappointed and sad about it, and people's upset and anger feel threatening.
Oh, very true. That is so true. People's upset and anger feel very threatening. And we have to find a way to be objective. I feel and am very aware of the uptick in anti-Semitism in the country and some increased Islamophobia as well, right? We're seeing that too.
We're seeing both.
And I could feel very threatened, but I don't want to. I don't want to go there, Tracy. I want to become more conscious. I want to use this to ask questions that we should all be answering. And it looks like
And Todd just says that that was just one example.
exactly. Exactly. So it may be convenient to be shocked because it allows us to be reactive. If we start asking questions and saying, why am I surprised at this? Maybe I should try to understand it. Then that opens a pathway to maybe solving some problems. Because if we stay shocked, indignant, and angry, there's more bloodshed, there's more anger, there's more suffering.
I'm wondering if it all comes back to the ego, because
It
people
does.
get their opinions based on very little, and then they fight it out over differing opinions, among other things.
It's all about ego, because ego is about me and us, just the little us. And it's not about long-term thinking, and it's not about oneness. If we understood oneness, we would really have to ask the question, is it for the highest good of all for all these Jewish people to move to Palestine? And if so, what would be the best way to handle that situation? But instead, everybody was fighting for their survival. And people are desperate. And they're not thinking about the highest good of all. And we aren't trained to do that. And that is the bottom line, isn't it? We have to start training ourselves to think about everybody in the circle, not just ourselves and our immediate support system. So please like this show, even if you hated it. Just tell me you loved it. And share it with other people, because people need to be thinking about this. I am so sad when I look at the news, and the Jewish students are so shocked by the anti-Semitism on the campus. But, why should they be surprised when you see what's happening to the Palestinians? And the Palestinians are enraged, and this one is enraged, and that one is enraged, and everybody's walking around pompously being enraged, not helping. So please like and love this. Please share this program with everybody you know. And please follow our channel. And please come back next Wednesday night for Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks, where I will take on the next topic, whatever comes to me. And also every Thursday night at 7 p.m., James and I do magical improvs, which is music, which uplifts us. And you see, being uplifted, being calm, being positive is the best first step towards thinking clearly. And we need that.
Yes, we do.
So, thank you for coming and being with us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Do come back next week. And come back tomorrow at 7 for Magical Improv.
Yes, indeed.
We love you.
Glad
We
to
thank
have you with us. Thanks
Please
for
leave
joining
your
us.
comments, even if it's later.
Okay. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.